I'll also throw up the intro
Oh,
once
really?
once
You
I
will?
find it.
You'll
There
do
it
the
is.
countdown?
It's on! That's so cute.
Oh, in case you're wondering, when we made our way down Buena Vista Street, over at DCA opening weekend, it was not on.
It was not on. We wanted to reproduce the moment.
Yep. Gideon made his way over to it. It's not on.
You should have done. You should have recorded one that was like, "It's off, so we could put it at the end."
That's why you're the film major.
Exactly. This is why.
Good afternoon / evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Disney's Park Talk Live, the show in which we look at the past week in Disney and other similarly, but not quite as themed theme parks around the country and world. It's going to be a great week today. So much to talk about. My name is Doobie, co-founder of Laughing Place. Over there is Rebecca, the other co-founder of Laughing Place.
Hi.
Down there, the one and only Mike. That was dumb. The one and only Mike Celestino.
I always get the pointing wrong.
I know, it's like not, yeah, it's like that.
Mike Celestino is in charge of Star Wars and Southern California theme parks at the incredible laughingplace.com. And it was great to spend some time with him last week. And over there, our vice president of disguises is Jeremiah Good. How you doing, Jeremiah? Just kidding.
Playing the part of Jeremiah Good.
Jeremiah is on assignment this week, so actually he's helping out some family. So he has been replaced by occasional contributor here at Laughing Place, but one of our favorite people in the world from On the Go in, is it in or MCO? On the Go in MCO. Shelly, How you doing, Shelly?
Hey, doing all right.
So we are going to be talking about a lot of stuff today. Most importantly, the reopening of Disneyland. 3 of us were there. One of us wishes she was. So we have a lot of firsthand and envious experience. So if you have any questions about it, any comments, if there's anything you'd like to know about what it's like to visit Disneyland right now, please let us know in the comments. We'll do our best to help you out. Let's get started. I think, so Rebecca and I didn't get to go until Saturday. On the Go at MC, On the Go. Did I get it wrong?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's good now.
I fixed it, Doobie.
Oh, you fixed it.
Wrong.
Okay. I did get it wrong. Okay. So Mike Celestino got to go before Rebecca or I did. So I'm going to let Mike Celestino go first. What was it like opening day, Mike Celestino, April 30th?
Before I start, I want to say I feel like I want somebody to cast me in a Western. I feel like I look like a prospector.
You do. You're correct.
I just want to be like the old prospector who wanders into town. All right.
You are.
What was the question?
You answered it. That actually was the question. What do you want to be? So no. So what was it like opening day? I'm sure you were there pretty much at rope drop. You got to go in very early. DCA, not Disneyland, but still.
Right.
Back in a Disney theme park with the ability to do some rides and being kind of back to normal. What was it like?
I mean, I did go into Disneyland, but not until 1 p.m. In the morning, yes. I was there with Benji and Alex, the other 2 Laughing Place folks who were there with me. We lined up in the morning. I arrived at 6 a.m., which is the scheduled time that the Mickey and Friends parking structure was supposed to open. I sat in that line for half an hour. They did not open the parking structure till 6:30, which is fine. It was just a little bit of a frustration. Then we ended up waiting for an hour on the tram route for the parks to open, and they opened an hour early, so it was posted at 9 and they opened at 8. So I went right, the other 2 guys went left into Disneyland. I went into California Adventure, and it was great. I had a great morning in DCA. I went on all the e-ticket rides that I could. I did Incredicoaster. I did Radiator Springs Racers. I did Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I forgot to go and do Little Mermaid, even though I wanted to after we had seen the movie the other day. But I did Monsters Inc. and I did Pixar Pal Around, and I shot a bunch of video and photos and got a nice bird's eye view of the whole resort and Avengers Campus from the Pixar Pal Around, and sent out a lot of tweets. It was just a lot of fun, and it went by really, really fast. And then noon came around, and I could get the virtual queue boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance, and I did that. My number was really high, and I was worried I wasn't going to get on the ride, but I did. But that's later, because at 1 o'clock p.m., I was able to park hop over to Disneyland, and that process went actually really smoothly. I just had to leave a little bit early, left the DCA about 12:30, and then the floodgates opened at 1, but people had started coming over at like 12:50 from DCA to really pack up the Esplanade, waiting to get into Disneyland. And then I spent the rest of my day in Disneyland, and I didn't do too many attractions. I did Rise of the Resistance. I did Pirates of the Caribbean, or as Tony says, Pirates of the Caribbean.
As everybody says.
What's the difference? It's two ways to pronounce that word. What else did I do at Disneyland? Haunted Mansion.
Snow White.
What's that?
Did you do the new Snow White?
I have not been on the new Snow White yet. No, did not have time. But I did do a 2-hour live stream that you can watch on our YouTube channel. And I'll be back on May 11th in just 8 days to
awesome.
Shoot a bunch more video of attractions and report how the park looks after a week and a half of being opened or whatever.
So, Shelley, before we move on to the next day when Rebecca and I were able to go, I'm guessing you were all over social media on Friday watching this happen. What was it like? What was the zeitgeist on social media on Friday?
It was a lot of FOMO. I'm not gonna lie. I watched that 2-hour live stream, and I was like in it to win it. It was just, it was kind of cool to live vicariously through like everybody having such a great time. And I mean, of course, I would have loved to have been there, but of course we can't go because it's only open to in-state guests. So, right now. But it was so like I got emotional watching people walk through for the first time and seeing things like that. What big building? Like the little things that they have done. Like that was one of my favorite things that everybody was like, look at this. I'm like, this is hysterical. But it was really nice, and it looked like it was really smooth compared to Walt Disney World, which was a little clunky, and it looked like they learned a lot of things. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing for me was how many characters were out. That was banana pants crazy.
Oh, there he is. There's one of them.
There's our guy. I was so excited to see Miguel. I was like, yeah.
There were tons and tons of characters, both in character spots where you could get selfies in front of them, and off in the distance where you would get distant selfies, but you're kind of watching them do their thing. What they didn't have, which Walt Disney World has, is character processionals. So it's kind of like they traded off those periodic processionals for just flooding the place with characters. And it was awesome to see so many characters. So Rebecca and I got to go on Saturday. Like Mike, we started our day in Disney California Adventure. Unlike Mike, we've had the experience of being at Disney World and Disneyland. So Rebecca, what were your impressions of the Disneyland Resort?
I was, let's see. There were fewer people. It felt like fewer people than I expected it to feel like. The queuing was very well organized and moved at a very nice, the initial admission was very smooth and getting in. And then overall, the day was really great. The only challenge is just in food. And I don't know I know Mike ate over at Cucina Cucamonga, whereas we ate at Flo's. So we may have had different experiences, but in our case, I found that the wait time from saying I'm here, because the way it works, if you haven't ever used mobile order at Disney parks, the way it works is first you get your window of time that you're going to eat. And so that's the first step in the process. And they were relatively close to when I wanted to eat. It wasn't like, oh, I want to eat at 1 and the only thing available is like 4. There were plenty of times available within the time period I was looking at the time I looked. But what was surprising is that the way that it works is you place your order, and then when you're at the location is when you tell them, hey, I'm here. So you can book out earlier in the day, right? If it's 10 a.m. and you know you want to eat at 3, you can book that window, you can make your order, and then when you're within your time window, go back to the location, you hit I'm here, and then that's when they prep your food so it's hot for you to pick up. What I found was that the wait time between I'm here and my pickup was slower than I'm used to with mobile order. I suspect that's in part high demand, because there is no counter service in that you can't, just go to the guest. You have to do the mobile order. So I'm guessing it's in part that, and in part the restrictions regarding how many people you can actually have within the kitchen. They're probably having to have more people churning out orders than they're used to, and it'll take a bit to find that, to find that rhythm. So that took a little bit longer. And then with flows in particular, when we hit I'm here, there was a queue to get our food. So I think it took maybe 10 minutes, even though it said your order's ready, you can pick it up right now. We were in a line to get to the point to pick up our food. And so that was just a different dynamic than I'm used to. To me, that was more similar to what I've experienced with Universal Studios Orlando, where you place your order and then you wait, and then once it tells you your order's ready, then they allow you into the restaurant. Then you're sitting in the restaurant. You place your order. Once you've placed your order, then you can sit in the restaurant. Then you say I'm ready, and then it took 10, 15 or more minutes whenever we would order in a Universal Orlando restaurant. So in that way, it was familiar in that way. But like I say, it wasn't what I'm accustomed with Disneyland. How about you, Mike? How was your Cucina experience?
Yeah, I was going to say I brought back one of the Allergy menus, and I was so thrilled to find that this restaurant in particular has been, in the year that the park was shut down, they've transformed the menu entirely into gluten-free, which is so wonderful for me personally. But then in addition to that, they've really expanded the Allergy offerings. It's like a page and a half of stuff for every kind of food allergy. So I'm going to be eating there all the time when I'm at DCA, and I'm going to explore the other locations in both parks to see what the other offerings are as far as allergies go, because it really affects me, and I know a lot of people out there also.
That's wonderful. I'm excited to know that the Cucina has expanded that way.
One of the things I think is important for everyone to remember, and I'm sure they do, but still, yes, Disneyland has been able to work off what worked at Disney World and learn from that. But, there are thousands of people that actually make this happen that haven't been working for months or even a year or more. And, it takes a while to get back in the flow of things, and maybe not all of them came back. They may be actually a little short-staffed in some places. So, it's not often where you go to a place where people have been working there for 5 days, if you count the cast member previews. Usually you have a few 5-daysers and a few 5-yearsers. Now everybody essentially has been working there for 5 days. So I have zero doubt that things will improve, both from knowledge and just from people getting used to working again who have been, not. So just a little disclaimer for my CM friends. Yes, Mike.
I did want to say that in addition to the mobile order at Cucina Cucamonga, you could also walk up and order from the cashiers. I don't know.
V8 Flows had that as well. Smoke Tree, Smoke Jumper, Smoke Grill, whatever, did not seem to have that. But Flows V8 definitely had one long register line that you could go up and order at.
Okay.
How does it work at like Bengal Barbecue and stuff? I just think of it being such a small area. Was that open?
Yes, it was open, and you would mobile order, and there were like a couple of designated locations, and you would pick up your food, and then there was seating by junk. There was so much seating, everywhere. Awesome. The only challenge sometimes was in finding seating adjacent to where you got your food, because obviously that area right by the eatery is going to fill up right away. And unlike Walt Disney World, you can't simply eat when you're stationary. They have designated dining locations. And so sometimes You could, like when we ordered at Smoke Jumpers, we weren't able to find a table right there by Smoke Jumpers. We ended up eating at the waterfall area over by Avengers Campus. They have a lot of tables along the way there. And, you think about that spot, there's not really an adjacent eatery right there. So that's where people will kind of bring their food, kind of food court style,
Okay.
Yeah, they added tables and chairs, plus a lot of stand-up tables, just tons of various places. Like along the rivers of America, they have them. Along Hollywood Boulevard, they have them. Because as Rebecca said, officially, according to the rules of California, not Disney, you do not drink by standing still. You drink by going to a designated dining area and standing still, and then drinking. So there are a lot of designated dining areas that you might not expect. For example, some of the sidewalks have these signs on them that say designated dining area. Have a seat on the sidewalk and you can now take your drink. So thank you, Disney.
I think we even saw a few like on curbside on Main Street, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, even like curbside on Main Street. So, you can sit there and enjoy your popcorn or stand there and enjoy your popcorn. But
Thank you, Disney.
Is where you can have it.
Thank you, Disney, for creating those instant designated dining areas. And another nice benefit of that is places where you normally couldn't sit and chill. There's lots of places to sit and chill. So, like right next to the Rivers of America, which is not a bad place to just hang out for a while.
I think the worst places.
I need a touch screen because I want to show pictures and my computer is not happy with me right now, and so I have no sidebar.
You work that. Gio is correct. Yeah, a lot of the park benches, they just had a little impromptu designated dining area. So you could sit there and drink and follow the rules as they are laid out. So in terms of, what's unusual there were no parades, of course, no fireworks. Indoor dining was a few places, like we had dinner at
River Tree.
Thank you, Riverbell Terrace.
Yes, Riverbell.
And there was indoor dining there, and it is spread. I mean, that's part of the issue with seating. Everything is way spread out. There are like 5 tables in this area that normally has more than twice that. But there was indoor dining there, but like Smoke Jumpers did not have indoor dining. Flows never has indoor dining. So that's no big deal.
Yeah, it does.
But it does?
Yeah.
Oh,
it has indoor dining. Yeah, both. Yeah.
Okay. My mistake.
It's usually pretty packed, though. That's why I'm just like,
so now
end up popping a squat.
Queues all over the place, because unlike Disney World, again, at Disneyland, according to the state law, there are state guidelines. There are no indoor queues. So any place where the queues are indoors, you're actually queuing outdoors, and then you just walk through the indoor portion when you're permitted.
So you're asked your party when you approach the entrance. So you're at Soarin'. And you get to that entrance and they're like, how many in your party? And then you let them know. And then we were fed all the way through down the area where the load is. And so that's where we were held, just before. So, right. And then same with like Luigi's Flying Tires, there's that whole area with like the different tires on display and whatnot. There are no markers in there, social distancing markers in there, because you're held outside. Then they let you through and you go all the way through that interior portion of the queue to that back area right by the attraction to board.
So as a result of that, the outdoor portion of the queues are much bigger. Then throw in the social distancing and the queue could just go on for miles and just be a half-hour wait. And then Disneyland, which packs more into less place anyway, it's just always fun trying to get all that happening. So Jungle Cruise is down right now for refurb. The Indy queue goes through Jungle Cruise. The Pirates queue goes through a good portion of New Orleans Square. Same thing for Haunted Mansion. Even though the wait times weren't that huge, the Radiator Springs Racers goes halfway down, almost to Pacific Wharf.
We did end up. We were in a 45-minute queue for Radiator Springs, and the queue snaked down through that little archway, and we were just about to where the concrete changes to Pacific Wharf when it would pull us back the other way. So Doobie has never logged as many. I mean, the step count on Doobie's Bit Watch was more reminiscent of a Walt Disney World vacation than we've ever seen visiting the Disneyland Resort. That is, just so much smaller.
I finished one day at 27,999, which just thrilled me because I posted that number and it just ticked off people that I didn't go one more step. The treehouse was actually open for guests. They couldn't use it for queuing because you could walk through there and do the treehouse. How was it, Mike?
That was fun. I love doing the treehouse. Speaking of steps, that'll get you a lot of staircases.
Yes, it will. What is it? Is this the Jungle Cruise queue
Yeah,
for
these are just
Indy?
some images of the queue, over there at Jungle. And then, of course, because the way the attraction is itself, that meant that they would have an ebb and flow to the exit of Indy, because the stairs for the Jungle Cruise, the queue portion, come right to that point with the Indy exit. And so they would periodically pause the people exiting the attraction and allow that queue to stream into the Indiana Jones attraction, and then permit the people leaving the attraction to leave the attraction. So it's like so many interesting logistics. I think the one that caught the most attention, though, was the Haunted Mansion journey. Now, did you get to take this alternate course?
Yeah, I think I took. Did I take these
I
pictures?
suspect these are your pictures. They were on Laughing Place. I just wasn't sure from which of our team cameras they were. So
I believe I took these pictures, but I'm not 100% on that. Yes, I think I did.
Whoa, you're not supposed to go there, Mike. Did you get in trouble?
No, we were. So it seemed like every once in a while they were just letting like a burst of guests waiting in the queue, in that little courtyard outside of the grounds of the Haunted Mansion, kind of in front of the New Orleans Square train station. They were picking people from there, and they were asking if they were okay with stairs, and then they were leading you down past the tombs there into this door, and then they had some like light theming. So you could see there's there's some little fun stuff. It's not 100%.
Those aren't lights, Mike. Those are bells.
Yeah, you can see they put the portraits from the stretching room in here, because you do bypass all of that. You bypass the whole lawn and the pet cemetery and the foyer and the stretching room, and you just wind up coming out in like the hallway right before the loading platform.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, on our trip to Mansion, I wish I would have gotten that for my sake, but for my son's sake, I'm glad we got the traditional. We just did the foyer and the stretch room, and they actually were totally both normal, just extremely small capacity. My favorite part was when in the stretch room, when the cast member says, for the best viewing of the portraits, please move your bodies from the edge and step into the dead center of the social distancing marker in front of you.
It was very good, because they loaded us into that initial, foyer in like small groups. So it'd be, you go to the dot on the upper left corner, right. You go to the dot on the upper right corner, blah, blah, blah. And they had a number, as I recall. And then we went the same number in the stretch room. And then we exited the stretch room in that order. And there were only, I believe there were only 5 dots. There were 5 dots. It was my recollection too. And so, and we were each group was on that little. But you did get the whole experience, unlike Walt Disney World, where I think you just walk through the stretch room, which I do believe there's a reason why they can't just do that at Disneyland, if I'm not mistaken. But. Well, as Jeffrey says, he was sad that they didn't take my idea and just put a slide in there. And then you could have just, woohoo, down to the next level. We could have just done it that way. And one thing we didn't experience, but we did hear from some of our colleagues, is it does reach a point where they have to shut down the queue. So we heard that. I heard that happen both at Pirates of the Caribbean at one point, and also at the next attraction we'll be talking about, Snow White's. Is it just Snow White's? What's it called now? Snow White's Wishing Well Adventure?
Enchanted Wish.
Enchanted Wish.
Snow White's Enchanted Wish. So the queue for that seemed to get up to maybe 40, 45 minutes max from what I saw. It definitely got down much lower throughout the day. But that, of course, is a brand new attraction, or a newly updated attraction at Disneyland Resort. So that was the biggest thing we were excited to experience. And Mike did not experience it because he does not like princesses. But Rebecca and I did.
Have time.
Poor Mike. Oh, it was.
But he had time for the Star Wars ride, didn't he?
I was so impressed. Yeah, that was what we didn't get to. I didn't even set foot on Batuu, let alone ride anything over there. But they did a beautiful job with the change at Snow White's Enchanted Wish.
I can't wait.
The pacing of the attraction is beautiful, and the little things that changed are just enough, but yet not so. It's got those anchor points, right, to the classic moments that you want from your experiences. To tap into the nostalgia. What do you think, Juby? That's your princess. Go ahead.
Great question. Would you like them to do this to the other Fantasyland dark rides?
Yeah, I think they've done it essentially to Alice. The update here, I think, is pretty comparable to what they did with Alice in Wonderland, and I think it makes sense to go ahead and do it to the rest. It does not. It's a good change. It's not a new ride by any stretch of the imagination. It's the same ride, updated. I mean, this is what you dream about them doing. I think people hate them to take out the classics. Why do you take it out? Why don't you just update it instead? Well, that's what they've done here, and I think it works. For me, it's not. I liked it more until I went back and watched the original again today. And then I realized there's some stuff about the original I really like and I kind of miss.
Well, can you give me an example of that?
Yeah,
yeah, the silly song, the first room, the very first room with Dopey, just the silly song room. I mean, the fact is, this ride is too short. There is not enough room to tell this story in this ride. It goes by so fast. And before they made choices that resulted in the ride essentially having no ending, they fixed that, but you had to get rid of something, and that's what I missed the most from the original. But I mean, this is not a negative review. I think they did an incredible job with it. I like the new special effects they did, and I liked how they didn't totally change it. They really just enhanced it for the most part, and it has a proper ending now. And there's no mistake, that old ride did not have an ending. It was bizarre. It was weird, and,
it was like
now yes, now it has a proper ending and it's quite beautiful. It's stunning.
When I first started going to Disneyland in college, my friend used to make me stand outside the exit of Snow White to watch people coming around the corner from that ending because they always had this really confused look on their face. Like, what?
It was so weird.
I will miss that because it was so abrupt. Because if you haven't experienced the original, what would happen would be the final scene that you would have on the dark ride were the dwarves chasing the Wicked Witch up the mountain, and she was falling backwards, and you'd hear the ah, and then the doors would open, and they lived
happily ever after.
It was yeah.
So bizarre.
Now that scene is a few rooms earlier before you make your way to the end. So the nice thing to me was that moment, I thought that moment would go. And I always, that scene of the dwarves and the way each one of them is like this, almost like a moving sculpture. It doesn't move, but you think at any moment it's, about to do something, something come to life. And I'm glad it's still there. It's just, somewhere else. But wow, it's concerning.
And I know ostensibly one of the reasons they made the change was to make it a little less scary. I'm not sure how. I mean, the witch is still there. She's still, magic mirror on the wall with this disguise, I'll fool them all. And she turns her ugly mug around and she has the wishing apple. So I'm not sure why it's less scary.
I think it's a little less grotesque. I mean, all those skeletons chained up, begging for their last morsel.
Okay,
it's like,
that's fair. I kind of like that, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
But mostly I just missed that first room, the silly song.
But it's just moved.
Is it?
Yeah, you need to watch a side by side because you got
we need to make a side by side.
Like Dopey and Snow White are just around the corner. It's just you used to come right into it
with everything, with the whole room and the piano and the whole thing. It's there.
Here, let me. You talk about it.
I thought I watched the new one and then I went right back and watched the old one.
Yeah, and you really think that much of it's gone? Because I didn't think.
Check it out. I really don't want to be wrong about this. I really don't. You know my memory. But yeah, I did do some research here. I didn't just go by my 3-day-old memory. I went by my 3-minute-old memory, which is only slightly better. But I thought it went straight into the dwarfs and the mine and all that. So correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
Rebecca's checking it out now.
I am.
How excited are you? Are you a Snow White Scary Adventures fan, Shelley?
I was. I was. I was there the last day that it ran. Up until they kicked us all out of the park. Yeah, I rode that sucker all day long that day.
All right. So
even though for me, like the scene that always got me like, was when they were in the woods and the huntsman was like, whoa. And I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
That for me was a scary one.
And that's been removed, right, Rebecca?
This is right now.
No, the huntsman.
Oh, the huntsman. Oh, yeah. I don't recall seeing the huntsman when we were on.
So let's watch this. Let me get corrected live.
Well, hang on. Let me back it up.
Did we have the huntsman in California?
No, I was talking about the one in Walt Disney World.
Oh, so
The
they
one
removed it.
there, I just was always baffled by the ending.
Wow. Okay, I am so sorry, everyone.
Haha.
So I take it all back. This ride's perfect.
Because I feel like they kind of just swapped those two rooms, because
must
you
be
used to
what
come in and you would see the silly song, and then you'd come around the corner and you'd see her going up the stairs. And I don't remember what was accompanying her going up the stairs, because obviously they want your attention on Snow White going up the stairs. So the other was, but now you come in and you have that little wash sink scene, and then you come around the corner and there's Snow White dancing away.
Thank you. I am
You're
ashamed.
welcome.
Let's see. Anything else? Tips. So people are going to be going. We've got a little bit of experience. What can we help people out with? Rebecca, what's your biggest tip for visiting at this challenging time?
Oh, my biggest tip is to be prepared to wander a bit, to be seated for food. That if you're thinking about eating, maybe glance around a little bit, see if there's some place right near where you're looking at. If that kind of thing, maybe scout it out a bit more than you're used to. And then you may need an extra pair of hands, because trays are adapting, I guess. At Universal, they didn't give us trays. So you had to, at Universal Hollywood, so you had to carry your food and look for a place to sit, which was similarly challenging for us as Disneyland. But at Disneyland, they gave you a tray, but it was a paper tray. And so as soon as you put anything up, it wasn't like you could carry a couple of trays. It really required, it was two hands. It didn't have a lot of stuff. It was a recyclable tray, so it didn't have a lot of strength to it. And as our understanding is, yes, you were able to freely hop back and forth after 1 p.m. There wasn't much delay in getting processed at 1 o'clock. I know the one tip I have. Oh, but go ahead, Juby. I already gave my tip.
Mike, do you have a tip you want to share with people?
Yeah, just kind of the one I mentioned earlier, that if you are park hopping from DCA to Disneyland, just give it a little bit of a bumper, like head out at like 12:30. And I ended up being first in line basically to get in. And if you come out 15-20 minutes later, you're going to find that there's a lot of people waiting to get into that park. I mean, that may have just been an opening day thing. I don't know, but it's certainly, the demand for Disneyland at that time, I think, is a little higher.
I have a couple quick ones. One, as Rebecca said, dining can be a challenge. Don't forget, you're not at Disney World, you're at Disneyland. Downtown Disney's right there. I know you want to spend as much time as possible in the park, but it may be worth it for your frame of mind to take a moment, go to Downtown Disney, have a little bit more of a relaxed experience, and then pop back in the park. Take advantage of the fact that it's all right there at the Disneyland Resort. And second, be prepared to walk a lot. The tram is not running right now. Mickey and Friends is not a short walk, and it's even longer going home at the end of the day. So pace yourself. Be prepared to do some walking. In addition, as Rebecca said, once you're inside the park, the queues are all longer. There's no fast pass. It all adds up. And even though the park closes at 7, there's a good chance you're going to be tired by the time it's over. Yes, Rebecca.
But I do want to add that they've moved rental of scooters and of strollers to Mickey and Friends parking. Not only, they still have it at the Esplanade, but if you're thinking about, wow, that's going to be a long way to get to the parks from the parking lot, they do, like I say, have the strollers there and the ECVs there, and you can also return them there at the end of your day. So you aren't anymore having to wait until you make it to the main entrance of the theme park in order to rent those mobility devices.
Are they still doing rider swaps for families?
I did see families take advantage of child swap. Yes, I did. And then with ECVs, it could vary. Some attractions were giving return times. And then what was the other?
If the line was really short, they just had you go through.
Right.
Otherwise, they give you a return time.
They give you return time to come back. We were there. We were there after. We didn't park on Saturday. We were there after the parking had opened on Sunday, and it took us a good bit of time, right, GB?
I would say it took us probably 20 minutes from the time we arrived at the parking lot until we actually parked.
Mm-hmm.
But that seemed to kind of spread everything out. From there were no waits. From getting down, we ended up renting a scooter and then walking through security. It was, constant walking. There were the temperature check. There was no wait after that. And by the time we got to the gate, there was a tiny wait at the gate of maybe 5 people ahead of us. So on Saturday, when we arrived earlier, there was quite a line for the security check. But from the time they actually started taking people, I think we were probably up there within 10 minutes. So,
yeah, it was very efficient once they opened it.
So things are moving fast. It's weird. You don't feel like you're waiting around a lot. The lines are short.
Right.
In a lot of ways, it doesn't feel like Disneyland because you're not waiting all the time.
And you're not like
you're not crowded.
You can fill it in every available seat. What were you going to ask, Kelly?
What about the shops? Because I know that some of their shops are a little teeny tiny. Were they doing the control of the people coming in and out like they have been at Walt Disney World?
Yes, they have the Main Street shops and the Buena Vista shops. You would enter at one end, and then pretty much all the other doors for those shops were exit. And so they were doing head count to make sure they knew how many people were in there. And then smaller shops were also Le Baton Rouge. Those 2 little shops there in New Orleans Square, Le Baton Rouge, and then the Pieces of 8, you fed in through Baton Rouge, and then you fed out through Pieces of 8.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then, but while we were there wasn't a queue for them, but obviously they seemed ready to have one. I did notice the perfumery location wasn't open. The Pandora Charm Shop next door was. The Arribas Brothers Crystal, it was open.
In addition to a lot of attractions being closed, be ready for not all the shops that you'd expect are open. Not all the dining locations are open. There seemed to be a lack of even like outdoor vending locations. So if you wanted to get just a quick water or something, the locations weren't as plentiful as before. I don't know if that's by design. Maybe, like I said, they're still ramping up. You got to get people back to work. Who knows? But at least as of when we were there, water fountains were running. Unlike Universal Studios and Mike Celestino experienced. So water fountains are there.
Which made Mike very happy.
That made me thrilled, really, honestly. I was so dehydrated both times I've gone to Universal since it reopened. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why they need to be closed.
Yeah, that is odd. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. So yeah, it's different, but it's great. It really is. And
we'll have links down below to all the various write-ups we've done. We had numerous articles about the things that we noticed, some of the special merchandise that was available, some of the changes, some of the new things at Haunted Mansion. And things are changing even like right now, day to day. When we did our live walkthrough on opening day, there were tables all around the Toontown firehouse. The engine wasn't there, but there were tables all around there. And then when we went back on Saturday, those tables weren't there anymore. They'd been relocated to another area. So we're going to
fire truck back?
Nope, the fire truck was not back. It was still vacant as well. But I suspect we're going to see a lot of changes in that way. And then with the other thing that I would tell everybody to keep an eye out for is I know that Disney is capped at percentages of attendance with the regulations. And as those regulations change, you could see Disney respond. But then also, I don't know how close they were to their cap in these days, and might we see changes within the dynamic that they're being given by government. Am I saying that clearly, Judy?
Well, I think there's two things. I mean, there's the cap that they can't go higher than this by law, but how close are they coming to reaching that cap right now, both in terms of ticket sales and just their own their own caps. You know, they
tickets.
they may not want to start out at 100% of what they can sell until they realize they can handle it. So for all we know, they're not giving out numbers; they're ramping up to that 35%. So just because we experienced an average of a 20-minute wait, who knows what it's going to be like in 3 weeks? We have no way of knowing if they sold 35% of the tickets or they, you know, reduced their cap and are in the process of ramping up.
Yeah, that's what I don't. Yeah, that's what I'm hesitant to give an impression of, because I don't want somebody to buy a ticket specifically based on the images and the reports they're hearing right here. If, you know, larger numbers would be uncomfortable, because I don't know what percentage of their allowability they've entered into this.
Walt Disney World, if you remember when that place first opened, it looked so empty, and then it got more crowded. Again, I don't know if that was a government thing or a Disney thing or a combination, but just keep that in mind. Two quick things I wanted to mention. As Rebecca said, things are always changing. PhilharMagic was not listed as being an opening attraction when they released the attraction list. It was open. Yay for Mickey. And if you're a regular at Disneyland, or if you've been many times in the past, it feels a little different. And as you know, annual passes aren't for sale anymore. Obviously, a lot of people going are annual pass holders or regulars, but just by that nature, and if you know the huge percentage of people that were there on any given day were annual pass holders, in my opinion, it feels just a little bit different than it did before in terms of the audience around you, people who are just a little less regulars, a little more, you know, like on Disney World, where it's a special day, not just another day.
My favorite experience in that way, Doobie, to kind of back up what you're saying, we were walking up the Small World Esplanade, and you know how there's the cast member has a umbrella kind of right near the entrance there. So you don't see the marquee that says it's a Small World until you're very close to the attraction. Depending on your height, it can kind of block that marquee portion. But obviously for most of us, the facade is, it's a Small World. Well, I saw a family walking, and it wasn't until they were pretty much on it that the mom says, "Oh, well, it's a Small World. Maybe we should ride that now." Clearly, that wasn't regular. So it was moments like that, or having people ask cast members, "Where's the Winnie the Pooh ride?" or things like this. Those weren't things that I was accustomed to seeing as much, because I was so used to pretty much everyone around me kind of was familiar with where they were.
So that's as Rebecca said, tons and tons of articles and videos and such on our website, our YouTube channel, our Twitter, our Gowalla. So make sure you check those out, please, and follow us as always. We'll have more. But believe it or not, the reopening of Disneyland was only the second biggest thing to happen in the world of Disney, what do you call, parks and resorts, whatever, this past week. The first, of course, was the details on the next Disney ship in the beautiful Disney Cruise Line fleet, the Disney Wish. I am going to go to our special guest to start this one out, because I hear you like cruising.
I do. It was really exciting to hear all of the new things that are coming to the Disney Wish, from dining to things for kids. And my favorite part, which is actually the themed experiences for adults. I really feel like this is something that a lot of us have wanted for a long time, because the kids get to have a lot of the fun on the cruise line. I mean, we get to have some fun, but having these spaces like the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, is that what they're calling it? I think that's what it was. You know, that'll have themed drinks. Of course, you see the setting behind the bartender that has the digital display. I mean, having these spaces is so cool, in my opinion. And the things that they're doing, I think that they're getting so right. So, you know, you're used to having your special cruises, you know, to have those Star Wars elements, the Marvel elements, and those are going to be there all the time. And this atrium, it's jaw dropping. Like when they had the little pixie dust going all over the place, I'm just like, oh, like you sit there and go, I'm ready.
Sorry, I put the kids zone, but sorry, Shelley.
No, you're fine.
So the unveiling of the Wish took place on a live video watched by thousands on the Disney Parks YouTube channel. I can't imagine the replay is not still there if you want to
it is.
Check it out. Good. So definitely go check it out. It's fun to watch. They leaned in, as the children say these days, into the fantasy element. It was a lot of fun. You get to meet the first cruise director of the Disney Wish along the way. But yeah, the adult theme spaces were a big deal. What else? What else caught your eye, Rebecca, in terms of what you're looking forward to on the Wish, or for either for you or for your son?
The Aqua Mouse caught my eye. What they're doing is they are bringing that fun, exhilarating family water coaster that we've experienced with the Aqueduct, and they're making it a Disney attraction. They're actually bringing a show story to it with areas. Look, when you see here on this screen of the attraction, you can see there's like this dark tunnel area and then areas that are open, and part of it's going to kind of go out over the deck, and they're going to tell you a story through video and other Disney magic, as they've said. So I'm excited to see what happens as Mickey and Minnie have what their Port Misadventures is the company that they start, and so of course everything's going to go absolutely smoothly.
Always does.
First adventure, yep.
So Disney is always raising the bar. They did the Aqueduct, and then now tons of other cruise lines have various attractions of one sort or another at sea. So Disney said, you know what, no one else can do a Disney attraction. We're going to not just make a ride, we're going to make a true attraction with a story and a theme and all that. So I'm excited to see what that comes. But of course, the thing I'm most looking forward to, surprise, is the food. So they have made some major food changes here. All three of the main dining rotation are now highly themed restaurants. They have the Marvel experience now. They have a Star Wars experience. And of course, they have, not of course, goodness, but they have a Frozen experience. So, traditionally, you'd have one really themed restaurant, one a little less themed, and one that's just kind of sit back and relax. But it looks like now all three of them are majorly themed. Am I getting that right?
Nope. The three themed dining are the Arendelle, which is the Frozen dining experience, and then the Marvel
and 1923,
and then 1923, which is going to celebrate the history of Disney animation, but with a theme that to me is like reminiscent of the Brown Derby. Well, did your mind go there, Shelley?
Yeah, I got strong like Brown Derby vibes, and I just love that you kind of get the past, the present, and the future all at once, and it looks as if the themed areas have some flexibility to include new technologies and new movies as they come out, and then of course the high dining being rethemed.
Don't take Paulo away from me. Don't take Paulo away from me.
It's just the theming. It's just
no. I mean, no. You don't take it. I want to talk about Paulo.
I'm not going to talk any more about it.
Sorry.
So, presumably upstairs in the back of the ship, where the Meridian and Paulo and Remy are on this Dream and Fantasy, they will now have a Beauty and the Beast themed area with the Rose, I believe it's called, will be the bar area in between the two elegant restaurants. Paulo Steakhouse, no longer just Paulo, it's now Paulo Steakhouse. Don't run it, Disney. And on the other side, it will be, oh goodness, I know the name of it. It's, help me out, Shelley. You can talk now.
Enchanted.
Enchanted. All three themed to Beauty and the Beast. And that will be an extremely elegant restaurant that I probably will have to find someone to go with me with, because my wife does not like extremely elegant dining. So,
I'd rather do a few more rides on the Aqua Mouse.
I like the O in Paulo that looks like Cogsworth. I think that was like one of my favorite touches that they did of the entire announcement. It just shows you, and I think it's by the chef they brought in has Michelin stars to kind of curate these three experiences that go together. So I'm here for it. Like, I'm ready.
So here's my question for Rebecca and I have talked about this. Shelley, you're an expert on these things. So one of the things about a traditional Disney cruise is there's a lot of Disney, but it's not all Disney. They have not, even I remember the old Travel Channel special, they talk about how Disney does not overwhelm you while you're on the ship. Some of the restaurants are heavily Disney themed, and then you have an Enchanted Garden, which is, no Disney theme really at all. Upstairs, they had the Meridian Bar and Paulo, which wasn't Disney themed at all, and then Remy, extremely light. They seem to be going a lot of Disney theming right about now. Every restaurant has a heavily Disney theme. The adult area has a heavy Disney theme. We didn't talk about the adult areas specifically, but do you think that's a conscious change? What do you think of that? Do you worry about too much Disney on a Disney cruise?
I mean, they're definitely going all in. Like, they've pushed all their chips in, and they're going they're going hard on the fact that the people who are going to be on this cruise are going to be very focused on having character experiences and those themed experiences. You know, I think a lot about like my husband who likes Disney, but he's not like crazy about Disney like I am. And for someone like him, it might be a little overwhelming to have every single thing be like, oh, here's singing Elsa. Did we listen enough to this? You know, I think, you know, there's definitely not the balance that there used to be, but I feel like this ship is really catering to those that are looking for that Disney experience and really that Disney difference that they talk about. You know, it's everything from, you know, like the Aquamouse, like Rebecca was talking about, to them changing their you know, high-end dining to that Beauty and the Beast theme. Like, there's not a part of this that isn't going to be touched by a character. I'm interested to see the spa space, because that's typically the safest space, in my opinion, from the like the characters and, you know, the theming. But even there, I feel like they even alluded to some theming in the spa area. So, I mean, they're really going hard. They're going all in. And I'm interested, like you said, I'm interested to see how it plays out.
What's interesting, what I found interesting in the dynamics that they shared was that this area, they called it like the Mickey and Friends themed family area of the ship. And previously, this would have been, you know, where we found the Mickey pool and that slide that had like, you know, a big Mickey hand or whatever. And I felt that it doesn't kind of scream it in the same way it had previously. And I noticed like down by the funnel vision, there was it seems like a smaller pool that you then led over to that other zone I just showed. So it looks like they're moving away from kind of the big pool and a little bit smaller pool and into this more like just numerous areas of varying depth to play, which no, but it's nice because it always felt like congested. Like pool day always felt congested, and this seems like a much more navigable environment, because you were always so hard pressed to kind of keep an eye on the crew. And then I'm curious to know where we will find the splash zone, which this looks adorable.
I'm wondering if it's in that underground, that under area between cabanas and the pools. And that's kind of where I was thinking it was going to be, because it does look covered. And that was the only place other than the what is it, the front of the ship. I should know how to say these things, but I don't. That front of the ship area, the bow, that you know, has the pools and stuff. So I was thinking it has to be in that little area right there.
And then this made me so happy. The idea of this is an infinity pool with what seems to be a swim up bar on the bow of the ship for the adult zone. I am psyched for this experience. How about you, Shelley?
Yes. That just looks like my little slice of heaven. Like, it's my favorite place to sit in cabanas, is that back area, and you just watch, especially like on a sea day when there's nothing around, just like sitting out there, especially in the morning, like having your breakfast, just watching you just motor along. Like, I can imagine that like in the evenings or early mornings being a place that's going to be really popular for the adults. Because, like you said, it's just like this serene, really cool space to hang out.
I'm so excited. Mike C., any of this grabbing your eye? I know you haven't taken a lot of cruises yet.
We've done one, but yeah, it all looks really, really neat.
I can't wait for your report from Hyperspace Lounge.
I mean, you're assuming that I will ever see it, but it does look it looks pretty intriguing.
I suspect you will see it at some point. At some point, you will see it.
Someone has to do all the Easter eggs of Hyperspace Lounge. None of us can do it.
None of us have the training and the know-it-all for that. We have to have our Star Wars know-it-all go.
Well, I didn't want to jump to any conclusions, but I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to see the new ship for sure.
And the best part, allergy-free, gluten-free, doesn't matter. They will take care of you on a Disney
Oh
ship.
yeah, we had the best dining experience probably of my adult life on that ship, on the Disney Fantasy last year. So
I have periods in my life where I become a vegan, so I took one cruise as a vegan. I never ate so well. And not only do they make great food, because you're basically a one-off, everything just gets made just for you. And they're excited to have something different to make. And so they just use their imagination. And anyway, it was beautiful. So almost all staterooms have verandas or views. I think less than 200, just ordinary inside staterooms. We asked them specifically about virtual portholes. They didn't give a straight yes or no, but I think we all felt that they probably weren't going to have them. We also asked them about Enchanted artwork, the thing where they have around the ships where the artwork kind of interacts with you, or sometimes just as animated. Again, not a straight yes or no, but what they did was kind of talk about how they were going to use some of that technology in other areas of the ship. So, some of the stuff that was innovated with the Dream and Fantasy, we'll see if it hangs around on the Wish, but the staterooms look beautiful. Lots of really nice artwork in them. They've increased the number of concierge staterooms. They've introduced the very first 2-story staterooms on Disney ships, which I'm thrilled they have, even though I'm sure I won't see them outside of a media tour. But man, what would I give to stay in this room? Wow, that's so beautiful. So maybe we can all sleep. I don't know how many they sleep. You think we can get like 20, 30 LPs in there?
I was going to say that.
Everybody just puts in.
That corner
like,
right there,
grand.
I think, is bigger than the room I stayed in on the Fantasy.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, see, I feel we all put 30 grand in there, and then we're going to make a deal. Not 30 grand, 30 people. But then we make a deal that's only 4 a night, and the rest can just like lounge on deck 4 or something all night. That way we can really enjoy it for one night.
So awesome. Every time I see like the Cinderella artwork in that one stateroom, I just get giddy because that's my girl. And like the artwork that they've chosen, I think they showed a Rapunzel room as well during the presentation. The artwork, just like at the Disney's Riviera Resort, the DVC resort that opened last year, it's just so thoughtfully curated. It's not like a lot of like pop art or anything like that. It just really fits the theme, and I'm really digging them.
And go ahead, dude. Sorry.
Do you have the Aurora Suite bathroom, the white bathroom?
You mean this one?
No, not that one.
And not this one either. No, I don't. The one with the tub, right? The
yeah.
one with the water. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I don't have that one.
Did anyone else freaked out by the prospect of getting in a tub that's just in the middle of the room, that's not like attached to a wall or something? That's just me?
Yeah, that's just
spectacle.
Something weird about that. Like, yeah. Okay, never mind. Just me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know how I managed to miss that one, but I didn't pull that one. But I'm just hoping that as I leave it on a really lovely picture of Beth, I'm really hoping that the curated art that we see in so many of these shots will be available like print on demand or something, because there's some really gorgeous images. And then the other thing I caught was in the background of this shot when they were doing kind of this is cruise director Ashley, and she was standing, I think I'm right. And she was standing in the middle of the main atrium, and in the background, it's kind of challenging because with the screen grab, it's a little bit blurry, but it's the silhouettes of the princesses are on the panes of glass back there. That's so you've got Moana. Cinderella and Moana, and this princess ship.
I'm like, like the goosebumps. Like,
I'm hoping for some princess high tea. I'm hoping for some very rose floral spa type aspects. Yeah, I'm all in on Princess Cruise. Enough with Marvel at sea and the Star Wars at sea. Give me the princess celebration at sea.
Yes.
I'm with you. So is Mike. Mike's with you too.
What I was thinking about the Hyperspace Lounge, though, is that if they do the Star Wars Week at Sea or Star Wars Day at Sea on that ship, that Hyperspace Lounge is going to be impossible to get into, right? Like everybody's going to want to be in there all the time.
It'll be like Oga's Cantina. Make your reservation.
Yeah.
Here's your spot to stand. Don't move. Don't turn too much. This is your spot.
And that was one of the parts of the announcement where some of the comments that they made when they were doing a Q&A following left all of us kind of in a speculative mode, because they used the words robotic magic in talking about it. And I know that on some cruise lines, these Kuka arm robot bartenders have become, a major spectacle, and it has some of us wondering if perhaps there'll be that type of automated bartender element, but in a Star Wars storytelling way, or if that was not at all what they were meaning. It's like it was generic enough that it was like, I'm not sure.
Could be this.
Right?
I wanted to show this. See, does
There
that
it
look
is.
freaky? It's like getting in a bowl in the middle of the room.
No.
Maybe it's a man thing. Mike, does the prospect of taking a bath here freak you out a little bit?
Actually, no. I would love to have a bigger bathtub than the one I have in my apartment. I always feel like if the water's not coming up high enough, I would love to get in that thing and just fill it up to the brim, and then you're just like completely
down.
submerged. Yeah, that looks awesome.
See, it's just you, Doobie.
When you get out, what do you hold on to? All right. Can you show the hyperspace? Can you show the hyperspace hoopla lounge again?
Yes, I get the hyperspace hoopla lounge.
Wait, did you guys see?
If it was a hyperspace hoopla lounge, I'd never leave.
I have a tangent.
Yes.
Okay.
Today on Twitter, Matt Martin from Lucasfilm Story Group was talking about how he keeps trying to work the 2 hosts from Hyperspace Hoopla into the current Star Wars canon, and people keep turning him down.
Oh,
that is a
painful. That's
hero.
beautiful.
He is a hero
Right?
for that.
Let's start a
fighting-
I would
petition.
love a Ziganoopla.
Change that. Let's get it going. All right. So let's give. So what do you think is? And Mike probably knows this. What's out this? So on the Skyliner Lounge, which is kind of Skyline Lounge, Skyliner on the brain. Oh, you can't see that. On the Skyline Lounge, currently, it switches between various scenes of Europe or around the world, depending on the ship. And it's just like a scene with slight movement. Do you want that here, where it's like, oh, there's Naboo. Oh, there's another planet who I'm just making up names. Oh, there's another planet. Or do you want?
Wait, let's pause. Please name 3 Star Wars universe planets. Please, I beg of you. You have been on Star Tours enough. You can at least come up with 3.
There's Naboo. There's Tatooine. There's Hoth.
You did it. You did
Thank you for saying 3 and not 4. Yep. 3's my limit. All right. Do you expect that out there? Do you want that out there? Or do you want this to be like you're actually in a space bar and there's just a constant something happening out there, complete with like story? Maybe there's a war a battle out there or something.
Well, they said, I was actually reading that interview that came out, and they said one of the scenes does have a space battle. So I guess whether I want it or not, it's going to happen.
Okay, I want it to be like it's real, constantly generating. Computers are big now; they can do things. So it's just a random generation of stuff out there. Maybe you're going throughout the galaxy. You go to hyperspace or something. You're in like a mobile bar that hyperspace to some other part of the galaxy. It's not just. Whereas the current one, it just goes bling, and then it's a different scene, and then it's a different scene.
I don't think they've said what the transition will be between the planets, but if it's not hyperspace, I feel like they're.
Yeah, and we should shake a little bit when it happens, you know.
Yeah.
Doobie wants like a storyline.
Yeah.
Like we're floating above Tatooine, and then something happens within the environment that necessitates us to go
drink more
to
alcohol.
a different planet. Yeah. But Gio wants to see Alderaan being blown up.
That would be awesome. And like the Death Star is out there, and you warm, and then we get out just with the blowing. And also, they did mention that they would have that their bartenders are hard at work now creating special Star Wars concoctions. So hopefully, we get more than just blue and green milk.
And apparently, it's going to be different than Galaxy's Edge, even if they do have blue and green milk. They said that they would not be the same.
Oh, I read that some of them will be the same as Oga's Cantina. And
oh, really? Okay.
That's what the Imagineer said in that interview that I read. But
oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
I trust you better than me. I did not take notes. I merely listened. So I trust you. The other thing about the hyperspace lounge that caught my eye was that they said it would move beyond time frames too. So
yes.
You would have like Tatooine with Razor Crest flying overhead and stuff like that.
Like,
how does that grab you, Mike?
I feel like that's gonna bug me. The OCD Star Wars fan in me is not gonna love that. But it bugs me in Star Tours too, because you kind of jump between eras. You're like, oh well, now it's you're on Hoth and there's AT-ATs, and then you're on Kef beer, and there's the crashed Death Star and stuff. But yeah, it'll be fine. I'll enjoy myself no matter what.
Too true.
And then maybe they can have some audio too, like get James Earl Jones with "I Have You Now, Disney Cruises." How awesome would that be to hear that? And then like he fires and we hyperspace out of there. Maybe we can do the is it the Kessel Run? In like
Kessel Run, yeah.
14 parsecs or whatever. Or we can blow up the Death Star. Can you imagine being on a Star Tours like thing while people are drunk?
Wait, no. Here's the thing. They blow up Alderaan at the end, and they say something like, you're in Alderaan places, you got to go home, or something like that.
Nice.
Like,
That's how they close the night.
Like, some sort of like funny thing going on,
Yeah.
like Trader Sam.
Clearly, we have to. They're hiring the wrong people. If they don't do all of this, they've hired the wrong people to put this
Opportunity.
together.
I'm a little worried about there being probably a few like collector mugs that I'm gonna have to get from there.
That's a given, Mike.
Because I've already spent like $200 on the ones from Oga's Cantina.
One can
Wonder
hope.
if maybe Mike will finally get his wish and they'll serve pork.
Gio got it.
It's adults only. You can.
A
The
pork
sky's the
burrito.
limit.
Yeah, anything good. Maybe they'll have Princess Leia. Well, no, it's still a Disney cruise. I
thought you were gonna say maybe they'll serve human.
Do humans? There are no humans in the Star Wars universe, are there?
Yes, they do call humans in Star Wars.
Do they ever eat them?
I'm sure somebody. Well, the Rancor does.
Yeah,
and
obviously. Wampa probably does.
Did someone say
humans probably don't eat
obviously?
humans.
Who said obviously? I can name 3 planets. All right, let's move on. Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Chewbacca eats humans.
Does he really?
That's the rumor. Yeah. In Solo, a Star Wars story, there's all these skeletons in his little prison.
Okay.
All right.
I saw that movie.
We're really in a tangent now. Let's go to Knott's Berry Farm.
Mike, you got to go to Knott's Berry Tales.
Yeah, so this
Turn
is the
to
one
the bear.
everybody's been looking forward to at Knott's. This used to be a few things. I think first it was Knott's Berry Tales, and then it was Kingdom of the Dinosaurs, and then it was Voyage to the Iron Reef, and now it's back to being Knott's Berry Tales, but a very different Knott's Berry Tales, because it's pretty much just Voyage to the Iron Reef, but with Knott's Berry Tales overlay, which is fine. It's a fun, interactive, screen-based attraction where you got a little gun that looks like a boysenberry jam jar. There you go. And you pull the little boysenberry on the back, just like what?
That's just funny.
Yeah.
And then you pull the little boysenberry.
Yeah. And you're firing boysenberries at the screen, and there's a story about coyotes stealing the boysenberry pies from the bears' factory where they're making the pies, and you've got to help them get them back by shooting them, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's some images from and it's a pretty fun. It smells great. I gotta say, it's got to be the best smelling attraction that I've ever done. And you rack up a score. You can compete with your friends.
Looks like fun.
It is fun.
Was it what you expected?
It was about what I expected. Yeah. I've made it clear that I'm not a big fan of like screen-based stuff, but as that goes, I think this is a fun one. I think
The
maybe
merch looks really fun too.
yeah, there's a lot of merch. I put up a ton of pictures of merchandise. There's a merch not only for Knott's Berry Tales, but they started putting out like retro merch for like Knott's attractions gone by, like the soapbox racers and the parachute jump, and you've even got shirts of like Sad Eye Joe, which I know you guys are excited for.
No, you guys, just you guy. Yeah, I'm with Jeffrey right here.
Where's that at?
So.
Hang on, I was gonna pull it back up because I was gonna ask if there
Was there a
yet
typo?
another- I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Wow, that's pretty bad. I never noticed.
that's a choice.
Wow. I before E except after H, right? Isn't that how it goes?
I'm surprised. Mike didn't notice, considering his penchant for finding misspellings. Oh, now I'm looking for that other tweet. I thought I had it ready to go. Yes, I do. Haha. As Mike C on opening day.
I should have noticed that misspelling. You're right.
Spotted this.
Oh, there's a nice new painted mural behind the loading platform. Oh yeah, going back to Disneyland. Caution: maintenance in progress, not maintenance.
Nope.
Maintenance.
Mike C pointed this out opening day. He was very proud that even in no, I shouldn't say he was proud. We were proud that our Mike C was the one who was pointing out that the Arabesh lacked proper spelling of maintenance. But yeah.
But Berry Tales Return to the Fair is the name of the attraction. It opens with the park on the official opening day of May 21st, although the park is opening for season pass holder previews starting this Thursday, the 6th, and I'll be there for that. And I don't think Berry Tales is part of that, but that might change.
So reason enough to shell out and go to Knott's for a day, Berry Tales?
I like some of the other attractions more. I like the rides where there's real stuff. There's like...
I just like that.
Yeah. But it's fun. I think the kids will like it, you know. It's
and it
fun
smells
for
great.
families.
And it
smells
great.
really good, yeah.
All I
Awesome.
think about is Spaceballs with the jam, the We've Been Jam.
Yeah.
With that big old thing of jam. I love it.
So, also in California, we got to go to Universal Studios. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time there, but I did want to spend a little bit of time because we haven't been in more than 15 years, and 3 of us got to go, and it was fun. Mike, was it fun?
It was fun. I regretted not being able to hang out with you guys more because I did have to leave to go to Knott's at a certain point.
So you chose good smells over us, is what you're saying?
Hey, I don't mind.
I chose my responsibilities over you guys.
Oh, goodness me. All right. And so the highlight of Universal Studios was, of course, the tram tour, but that's old hat. We're not going to talk about that. But we did get to experience Jurassic World in its newest incarnation. Rebecca, why that reaction?
That was so good. That was so amazing. I still can't get over the finale of that attraction. And I hope, when Shelley is talking about Velocicoaster later, one of the things I noticed in her pictures was that 2 of the posters said coming soon.
Coming soon.
Oh, let me share that right now. And one of them was an Indominus Rex, and then the other one was Camp Cretaceous. But this Indominus Rex coming soon made me very hopeful that my friends in Florida will get to have in their own backyard something as amazing as that Indominus Rex. Because Jimmy, that was amazing. That was incredible.
So Mike got to ride this thing about a week before we did, and he's like, it's just incredible. It's incredible. It's the most amazing thing. My jaw was literally on the floor, but not literally because that would be stupid. And then that got my expectations way up. And I'm like, this thing isn't going to live up to my expectations. And then we rode it. Oh, my. I don't know how you ever got your jaw off the floor, Mike. I'm surprised we didn't trip over it at Universal Studios. That thing was incredible. And that thing, it's multiple things. But and I was ready for the Rex. I'm not going to spoil it, but I wasn't ready for the whole package of how the finale now plans out. It just blew me away.
Can't wait.
It's just so amazing. I'm sorry. It is amazing. It is easily the best flume ride featuring dinosaurs I've ever been on. Easily. So.
You done good, Universal.
Done good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other new attraction there was The Secret Life of Pets. And Mike, how was it?
You asking me? I like it. I'm a fan of rides with physical sets and animatronics, and this has a lot of those. It's not a franchise that I'm familiar with. I haven't seen the movies, but it's fun. It's got fun music. It's got a lot of funny characters, and it's entertaining. And I really didn't have any complaints about that one.
We rode Rollickin' Roadsters over the weekend, Broken Jeremiah, twice. I love that attraction. That is one of my favorite. I think that's my favorite of the kind of really simplistic carnival style rides, like of the Dumbo, the teacups, these rides that are just, really simple. And that's my favorite.
That's a good segue to my opinion of what is the name of the Pets ride, by the way? Do I know the official
Secret
name?
Life of Pets off
the leash.
A good segue, because to me, Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters is a ride where the experience is much more than the sum of its parts. It's a pretty simple thing. The trackless thing is something cool, but even with that, you can see it, you think, it's fun, it's no biggie. But when you actually ride it, it's just a fun ride. I have seen video of Pets before, and I had an expectation of what the experience would be like, given that it is just chock full of animatronics. I'm pretty sure it has more animatronics per square paw than any attraction I've ever seen. But to actually ride it, it just wasn't that fun. It was just kind of meh, was my opinion on it. And it's hard to put a finger on why, but just the experience was not up to the sum of its parts. Rebecca, what did you think?
I'm kind of with you in that every visual I had was nice and amazing, but yet the overall feeling from beginning to end, I wasn't like, okay, let's go back and do it again. And I don't know why. It was charming, and I'll be honest, to some extent, I wonder if it's because it moves so slow.
It moves so slow
that you don't get off the ride feeling like you've missed anything. Okay? So a lot of times, with a dark ride, right, you kind of go through and there's this rich environment and you're like, oh, and then when you get off, you're like, oh, wait, you wish you could have seen some little moment a little bit more because it kind of caught your eye maybe as you were just, exiting that particular room or something. But this one, I didn't have that. In fact, I felt like, okay, let's get going to so that's the only thing that I can really point to as why I didn't get off right, because when I look at each, like you say, you look at each picture or you look at a video moment from the ride and you're just like, yeah, I love that moment, but for whatever reason when you put them all together, it just wasn't quite repeatable as I expected.
One tangential complaint for me as a person of considerable size, I am disappointed in Universal Studios for having an attraction that is so clearly for anybody in the world, have a ride vehicle that has size constraints to the point where they need a test vehicle out front. And I do not fit in said test vehicle. Thankfully, they did accommodate me in the ADA vehicle. I just got a wheelchair and they just put me up in the ADA, which I'm glad they have that accommodation. From the sound of it, they may accommodate you if you don't fit in a vehicle. They won't definitely do it. Obviously, you could just show up in a wheelchair and then they will. But it's just disappointing that that's the requirement for something that, I could walk through safely. That there's absolutely no need for that. I presume they have their reasons. I wouldn't be surprised if the same vehicle is used for other attractions where it's necessary, so it's a cost-saving thing. But there are a lot of rides at Universal that have size constraints for a reason. This one has no reason. So that's all.
Mm-hmm. Over at Universal Orlando, they've got a new attraction in previews for annual pass holders, and Shelly.
Wait, so Shelly, you actually got to ride it? Okay, so one member of our team, Mike Mack, got to ride it, and I asked him for a quote, not realizing Shelly had actually done it. So let me just read Mac's quote. First of all, I asked him if he could come on and do it, and he's actually working on another project right now, which he's sad about because he said there's nothing else he wants to do but talk about it. He said, it's incredibly fun and not quite as intense as I expected. It's something I can ride again and again, and the queue is very impressive. So, Shelly, what can you add?
I agree with that. It's a very weird mix of crazy because it feels like at parts when you look at it from afar that somebody was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and they're like this and 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 this. And for an Intamin coaster, it is surprisingly crazy smooth. And the restraint that they showed with the G-forces as far as speed goes is incredible, because what this coaster does is it tosses you around. You go upside down for 2 seconds straight. There are 4 inversions. There's a place where there are 2 big launches. One goes 0 to 50, the second goes 0 to 70, in which you go into the big top hat. But there's not, for me, when there are a lot of G's, it's a little disorienting, and that seems to be the case for a lot of people. And for this ride, they really spent their time and concentration on creating a ride that had an immense amount of airtime, and really didn't focus so much on the G's. The queue is fantastic. I appreciate that once you get to the main area that you showed a few pictures ago, that they have these giant fans in there. It's very open to let air flow it through there. But it still keeps that theming. Those fans are chef kiss. And then as you walk up to the Velociraptor sculpture that has the coaster in it, actually, you see Mr. DNA for the first time. And it's got a lot of great callbacks to the Jurassic World movies. And then, there's this one part where there are these 3 windows, and you can see the coaster go by, and then you see projections of Velociraptors going by. Like, it's just, the whole coaster is very thoughtfully done. Like I said, from the design to the queue to my favorite part, which is the double-sided lockers, which sounds like it's something that you wouldn't be excited about, but there is no level of frustration more than getting off of Forbidden Journey and having to fight people to go to your locker who are fighting to go out. So being able to seamlessly get off the coaster, grab your belongings, and go out without having that, that moment of, am I coming or am I going, just made like the end of it great. I do have one good complaint about it though. And I don't know, I know why, but after you get off of the coaster, there are a ton of steps. And when I got off, my legs were a little jello-y. So I had to step over to the side and take a moment, because I've seen people, especially like at Rip Ride Rocket, fall down those stairs because they're just so like, your adrenaline is just like buzzing. So I just wish there was a way to like figure out how to do more ramps or anything like that. Because having those stairs, like, I literally had to stop a few times because I was like so jazzed from the ride that I was just like shaking. But yeah, it is a fantastic coaster, and I cannot wait to ride again. It's a solid coaster with airtime, theming. I just love it. It's a game changer for sure.
Universal Florida is all over the place with coasters, from Hulk to Hagrid's, Mummy, the one I just forgot that was in my head a second ago, or Rip Ride Rocket. Rip Ride Rocket. Where would you rank this one, both in terms of overall theme, overall experience, and then just intensity?
So I would say it's definitely Velocicoaster, Hulk, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, and Mummy.
Is that audio coming?
Even though Mummy's like one of my favorite things. I just think that, for the amount of, for me, Hulk is just like boom, 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 boom of just, thing after thing after thing after thing. Whereas this is the same way, but there are moments where you're kind of like taking your bank turns and your S curves, and you're like, you have a moment to like go, holy moly, what did I just experience? Whereas with Hulk, it's just like you blink and you're just like, oh Lord, what just happened? This one, you really have time while you're on it to digest what's going on. And even though you're going really fast, you still have time to take in your surroundings because you're not overwhelmed with G's and just the absolute craziness of the ride.
Was that you just showed, Rebecca? Was that from the queue? Oh, now I've got to go in the queue because that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, the queue has some great Velociraptor animatronics that are just, you're really close to, and you're just like you just sit there and you take a double take. There is a child swap area that does have some facilities, a changing room table, and a television for the kids to watch some family-friendly cartoons in while riders swap, and that was being used.
They're not showing Jurassic Park in there or something?
No, not so much. I think Scooby-Doo was on while I was in there. But it's large enough
Isn't there a Jurassic Park cartoon that has come out recently that they could be playing in there?
On Netflix, yes, there is.
I'm sure that's what they're playing in kind of like in the rotation. But But yeah, it was. I mean, it's a solid coaster. It's gonna have giant weights when it opens, just like Hagrid did. So if you are looking to go for opening day on June 10th, be prepared to wait. Be patient. Be kind. The team members there are so stoked about this ride. A lot of them have ridden it and ridden it often, and they are very proud of it. Oh yeah, there's a test seat out front, and then there's another test seat near the lockers. But if you notice in the corner, I'm like pointing at the picture, over to the side, you see the blue square. There is a small, there it is. That's the size of your locker. So a normal, like, I've come to, like, you know, ride everything and I've got my life in my backpack, will not fit in those lockers. And there are no large lockers. So there are the larger lockers near the River Adventure that I think that they'll be asking people to utilize, that are paid. But in that area, it is a small area and they do have a locker. It looks like it would fit either like a non-packed, like little like drawstring backpack or a fanny pack or two. But above anything else, it won't fit in there. So just be aware that if you have a big backpack, you're going to have to make accommodations before you get into the line.
Just in terms of intensity, is it the most intense Universal coaster? Is it comparable to anything else? Yeah.
I would say it is. Hulk is so intense, but it's so intense for a different reason. Hulk really focuses on those G's and just raw power behind the coaster, whereas Velocicoaster uses a little bit more finesse between all of the thrills that you're having, and it doesn't really rely on those G's so much. You do pull like a G here and there, but it's not as like you don't feel it in your chest so much.
Cool.
If that makes any sense.
No, it does. I so appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad we had you on today. That was great. Any other questions from anybody else on the Velocicoaster? I'm so excited for this ride that in all likelihood I will never ever ride, because even if I fit in the vehicle, I can't handle that much intensity. But I'm so excited. It looks so cool.
The restraint on it is very forgiving. I know that some people have a harder time with some other rides of being able to ride this ride. So it is pretty forgiving. If you are on the smaller side, because of that 2 seconds of, you know, hanging upside down and all of the airtime, you might feel a little uncomfortable. But I think that if you go in knowing there's a lot of airtime and you will not be in that seat a lot of time, just push that lap bar down real hard and just buckle in and go for it.
Oh, sounds terrifying.
In all the right ways.
Yeah. Not going to happen, but I can't wait to see it and see people coming off of it. And I do want to experience the queue as well. And the lockers, because the lockers, my brother-in-law just sent me a picture of those lockers. Goes, why hasn't anyone thought of this before?
Those two-sided lockers, they made getting off the attraction like such a joy.
Thank you, Shelley. Was there anything else on our agenda today, Rebecca? I think that was it, right?
We were going to talk briefly about the upcoming, gelateria, the ice cream place that's coming to Walt Disney World.
Ice cream's coming to Disney World. So,
Yep,
all right.
there you go.
Great.
Follow the link below. We'll put a link down there.
How have they gone 50 years without ice cream? I keep saying, you got to have ice cream. You're going to have a family resort. People are going to want to eat ice cream. Finally,
your
they
voice has been heard.
And over at Disney Hollywood Studios, you can eat any number of Star Wars items. I'll throw some pictures up real quick and find out if they were gluten-free or whatever different allergy problems Mike is. Would you eat these if they fit into within your dietary constraints?
Oh.
well, I could probably have the drinks. What is the one on the top right?
I am not even sure. It scares me.
That's Darth Maul, right?
It's Darth Maul, but I wonder what is it like
who knows? So yeah, so there are a lot of these different things happening over at I'm a fan of these red and blue churros.
For sure.
I definitely can't have churros.
That's clever.
What is that in the bottom right? How is that Star Wars?
Oh, see, I pulled up these images. It was the last minute to just show some of the things, and you guys asked me way too many questions.
Is that like Wampa meal or something when they
Hang on.
when you eat a Luke Skywalker arm or something?
Give me just a moment to
a
pull
little
up
backed
the
up, you get the
article.
Wampa granola to help you out. Pretty sure. I expect you to know these things, Mike.
If it's not, it should be.
That's tomorrow, May the 4th, right? That's
It
a big
is.
day.
It is tomorrow, May the 4th. Yes, these are the various things happening at.
Mike Celestino, every May the 4th is up 24 hours straight, midnight to midnight.
I hope not.
I like
the movement for it to be "This is the May" instead of "May the 4th be with you." I like all these memes.
Those have been fun. I actually saw somebody wearing a T-shirt that was in that style of the Disney Pictures logo, and then it had the Razor Crest flying over, and it's said "This is the May." So.
I love it.
I'm looking, Doobie, to find out what that is.
Okay. In the meantime, I can make up another story about what it is.
Which one were you asking me about?
The granola bar, the granola mix in the bottom right.
The granola mix
with the
bottom
pecan.
Right.
It has the pecans in it. I'm trying to remember. It was something.
What's his name?
It's Interstellar sweet and crunchy popcorn that you can find at the popcorn carts. That's just a sample of what it would be.
So that's a reach.
That's what it is. It's the sweet. Yes, it's that. I want to find out what this Darth Maul thing is. Let's see.
Skywalker reach.
The Cosmic Rum Punch is another one of the items that was on display, and
somebody's gonna pull a muscle.
Oh, the Darth Maul thing is called the Dark Side Chocolate Creation. It is a malted milk chocolate mousse dome with raspberry mousse topped with slivered almonds and sits on a chocolate shortbread. So that's what that Darth Maul thing was.
So it's not flan, is what you're telling me.
It's not. It's a chocolate mousse dome. I'm sorry.
Sorry to disappoint you, Mike.
That'd be delightful.
I love intergalactic flan.
And then the Darth Vader Stein will be available throughout the park. You can get your beverages in that. So you could go home with that.
I got too many Steins already.
So,
is it me, Mike? You're the expert. Can you go back to Darth Vader Stein?
Yep.
Does he look more like a? Is his head too long?
Yep.
I think it's because it's shot from a high angle. It's making his the dome look bigger. If you kind of lower the camera a little bit.
He's very dusty, but even Chewbacca has
yeah.
It gives him a 5 head.
It gives him a 5 head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You went there.
No. It does.
All right. So that's just a reminder that tomorrow is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Mike Celestino will be on top of everything regarding Star Wars Day. What do you have on your hopper for tomorrow, Mike?
Oh, it's a full day. 8 a.m. is Hasbro. They're doing some announcements for toys. I have a podcast going up. Who's the Boss has a new episode. 11 a.m. I'll be at Downtown Disney District for their May the 4th shopping event that I have a reservation for. Then also in the morning, there's going to be at midnight tonight, there's a review of The Bad Batch. And then tomorrow morning, there'll be a recap of the first episode. And what else is happening? It's Disney Trivia Live at 7:30.
The Bad Batch debuts tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Not a Friday. So weird. There's something
Right.
on Disney Plus, not a Friday.
Well, they did the same thing for something else that I'm blanking on.
Did they do that for Mandalorian?
No, I thought they did it for Winter.
Yes, Mandalorian. When Disney Plus debuted, you had the premiere episode in The Mandalorian, and then that Friday was the second episode. So they're doing the same thing with this. You get the first episode tomorrow. Episode 2 is on Friday.
Have you seen Bad Batch yet, or do you have to review it? You have.
I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Don't say anything.
I'm
Embargo.
so excited. I'm excited for that. I don't know. I don't know if we're doing Star Wars headlines this week, but I'm excited to talk about the recent edition of the comics.
I mean, we totally should do Star Wars headlines this week because there's going to be a lot to talk about if we have time. I hope we have time. Also, there's the Maggie Simpson Star Wars short that I'll be reviewing whenever I find a spare moment. Who knows when that will be? But
lots going on.
And then tomorrow on Disney Trivia Live, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, we have a special Star Wars edition of that. I would invite Mike Celestino to tune in because all the questions are Star Wars related. I wish you could join us live, but we are going to have some special guests that I think are going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you check that out.
I'll say that I wrote the 3 Star Wars trivia quizzes.
All right, so tune in to watch, but don't play because that would not be fair. But I am looking forward. Mike Celestino has actually arranged the guests. I don't know who they are. I am very excited to find out.
Me too. I hope they show up.
That's always the worry when you have special guests. You hope they show up.
He has a great track history. He got a Santa Claus one time. He got a
Baby Yoda
before he got too big for us. Just early on, he got his Baby Yoda.
Before he was Grogu, right?
Yeah, before he even had a name.
Was Grogu.
Before he joined Luke's entourage.
Oh, that's true. Yes, hanging out with the big boys now.
So, tune in all day tomorrow on Laughing Place. Follow us on all of our social media channels from MySpace to Friendster. We are there. And please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this stream. Let's give a special thank you to Shelly from On The Go and MCO for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
And we should do it again sometime. We'll just take out Jeremiah and the spot's yours. Thank you, everybody. We will see you at the movies.